Welcome to Lesson 10 of Week 11, focusing on agency culture for the National Endowment for the Humanities, or NEH, and arts funders. This lesson examines how humanities and arts federal funders differ from the science funders we discussed in the previous lesson, and how to adapt your proposals accordingly. The National Endowment for the Humanities and the National Endowment for the Arts, or NEA, represent federal investment in culture, heritage, and the humanities. These agencies have distinct priorities, evaluation criteria, and expectations that differ significantly from science funders like NIH and NSF. Proposals successful at science agencies may not translate well to humanities and arts contexts. Humanities and arts funders place premium value on narrative quality, interpretive depth, and public engagement. The writing itself matters as a reflection of scholarly or artistic ability. Connecting work to broader audiences and demonstrating cultural significance are essential. These emphases require different proposal strategies than science applications. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the culture and priorities of NEH and arts funders. You will learn how their evaluation approaches differ from science agencies. You will recognize what makes proposals competitive in humanities and arts contexts. You will develop skills for writing to what these agencies value. Note that agency priorities may shift. Verify current requirements in specific NOFOs. This lesson has 4 primary learning objectives. First, you will understand the distinct missions of NEH and arts funding agencies. These agencies exist to support the humanities and arts specifically, with missions quite different from science funders. Understanding their purposes helps you appreciate what they value. Second, you will recognize what these agencies value in proposals. Humanities significance, interpretive sophistication, public engagement, and cultural impact all matter in ways that differ from science evaluation criteria. Third, you will appreciate the importance of narrative quality and audience engagement. Writing quality itself is evaluated in humanities proposals. Public reach and audience considerations matter more than in typical science funding. Fourth, you will develop skills for adapting proposal strategies to humanities and arts contexts. The same scholar might write very differently for NEH than for NSF. Learning to adapt your approach increases competitiveness across different agency cultures. Understanding NEH mission and scope provides foundation for effective proposals. The NEH mission is to support research, education, preservation, and public programs in the humanities. NEH serves the humanities broadly, supporting work that advances understanding of human culture, history, and thought. Humanities defined by NEH include history, philosophy, languages, linguistics, literature, archaeology, jurisprudence, art history and criticism, ethics, comparative religion, and humanistic social sciences. This broad scope encompasses many disciplines focused on human culture and meaning. Programs at NEH include fellowships for individual scholars, grants for collaborative research projects, preservation and access programs for cultural materials, public programs bringing humanities to general audiences, and education programs strengthening humanities teaching. Different programs have different requirements. The public dimension reflects NEH's emphasis on engaging broad audiences with the humanities. Unlike basic research funders focused primarily on advancing scholarship, NEH values work that connects with and benefits the public. Public humanities programs are a major funding area. Understanding NEA mission and scope helps you approach arts funding appropriately. The NEA mission is to advance artistic excellence, creativity, and access to the arts. NEA supports the creation and presentation of excellent art while also working to expand public access to artistic experiences. Art forms supported by NEA include visual arts, music, dance, theater, opera, musical theater, literature, design arts, media arts, folk and traditional arts, and arts education. This breadth encompasses established and emerging art forms across many traditions. Programs at NEA include project grants supporting specific arts activities, partnership agreements with state and regional arts organizations, and fellowships recognizing individual artists. Each program type has distinct requirements and review criteria. Community focus emphasizes arts serving communities and expanding access. NEA values work that brings arts to underserved populations, engages communities in artistic creation and appreciation, and demonstrates how arts benefit communities. Access and engagement matter alongside artistic excellence. Humanities significance differs from scientific significance in important ways. Interpretive contribution asks what new understanding your work offers. Humanities scholarship advances interpretation, offering new ways to understand texts, artifacts, events, or cultural phenomena. What interpretive insight will your work provide that does not currently exist? Scholarly conversation situates your work within existing scholarship. What debates does your work enter? Whose work do you build on? What scholarly questions are you addressing? Humanities work exists in dialogue with prior scholarship. Cultural value asks why this matters for understanding human culture. Does this illuminate important aspects of human experience, history, or meaning? What does understanding this contribute to our broader comprehension of culture and humanity? Lasting impact considers whether your contribution will endure beyond the project period. Will scholars reference this work years from now? Will interpretive frameworks you develop continue to inform the field? Humanities funders value work with lasting significance. Narrative quality matters in humanities proposals in ways distinct from science applications. Writing as evidence means that prose quality reflects scholarly ability in humanities fields. The way you write demonstrates your capacity for humanistic scholarship. Awkward, unclear, or poorly constructed prose signals problems with the intellectual work itself. Clarity and elegance are expected in humanities proposals. Reviewers expect well-crafted writing that communicates complex ideas clearly. This does not mean ornate prose, but it does mean careful attention to language, structure, and expression. Argumentative structure demonstrates logical, persuasive argument development. Humanities work involves making arguments supported by evidence and reasoning. Your proposal should model this argumentative capacity, presenting your case with logical structure and persuasive force. Appropriate style matches writing to disciplinary norms. Different humanities fields have somewhat different stylistic conventions. Art history writing differs from philosophy writing differs from historical writing. Understanding and demonstrating appropriate disciplinary style signals insider knowledge. Audience engagement is a distinctive emphasis for humanities and arts funders. Public reach asks who beyond scholars will benefit from your work. NEH particularly values work that serves broader publics, not just academic specialists. How will your work reach and benefit general audiences? Accessibility asks how you will make specialized knowledge accessible to non-specialists. Humanities scholarship often involves complex ideas and specialized language. Translating this into accessible forms requires skill and intention. What strategies will make your work understandable to educated general audiences? Community connection asks how your work connects to communities. Are you engaging with communities who have stakes in the cultural heritage you study? Are you working with, rather than just about the people and cultures central to your project? Multiple audiences should be considered together. The strongest humanities proposals demonstrate value for both scholarly and public audiences. Work that advances scholarship while also engaging broader publics exemplifies what NEH hopes to support. NEH review criteria share some elements with science funders while differing in emphasis. Intellectual quality evaluates the significance and soundness of your interpretive approach. Is this an important topic? Is your interpretive framework sophisticated and appropriate? Will this produce significant humanistic insights? Project design assesses whether your methods are appropriate and your plan is feasible. Even in humanities, reviewers evaluate whether your approach will work. Is your research plan realistic? Do you have access to necessary sources and materials? Staff qualifications consider the expertise and capability of the project team. Do you have the scholarly background for this work? For collaborative projects, does the team collectively have necessary expertise? Budget review considers appropriateness and cost-effectiveness. Are requested funds necessary and reasonable? Does the budget align with proposed activities? Is the request proportionate to expected outcomes? Dissemination evaluates plans for sharing results with appropriate audiences. How will you communicate findings? To which audiences? Through what channels? Strong dissemination plans reach both scholarly and public audiences. Arts grant evaluation emphasizes dimensions distinct from both science and humanities funding. Artistic excellence evaluates the quality and significance of the artistic work proposed. Is this excellent art? Does it meet high artistic standards? NEA's core mission is supporting artistic excellence, making this criterion central. Artistic merit assesses creativity, innovation, and skill. Does the work demonstrate artistic originality? Does it show mastery of craft? Does it push boundaries or advance artistic practice? These artistic judgments are fundamental to NEA evaluation. Organizational capacity examines ability to carry out proposed activities. Does the applying organization have the infrastructure, experience, and capability to execute the project successfully? Arts organizations need administrative as well as artistic capacity. Community impact evaluates benefits to communities and audiences. How will this work reach people? What communities will benefit? How does this expand access to excellent art? Community impact reflects NEA's mission to bring arts to Americans broadly. Writing for NEH requires attention to what this agency specifically values. Scholarly context positions your work within existing scholarly conversations. What has been written about your topic? What interpretive debates exist? How does your work enter these conversations and advance them? Demonstrate command of relevant scholarship. Interpretive framework explains your theoretical and methodological approach. What intellectual traditions inform your work? What interpretive tools will you employ? How do your methods suit your questions? Humanities reviewers expect interpretive sophistication. Source evidence describes the evidence base for your project. What primary sources will you examine? What archives or collections are central? What materials will support your interpretations? Humanities work depends on evidence. Describe yours. Public benefit articulates benefits beyond academic audiences. How will general publics benefit from this work? What public programming, accessible publications, or community engagement will extend impact? NEH values public humanities. Writing for arts funders requires attention to artistic dimensions alongside organizational capacity. Artistic vision articulates the artistic concept and goals clearly. What is the artistic idea? What aesthetic or expressive goals guide the work? What will the artistic experience be? Communicate artistic vision in terms reviewers can understand and evaluate. Creative process describes how the work will be created or presented. What is the artistic process? What techniques, methods, or approaches will be employed? How will collaboration work if multiple artists are involved? Show that you have thought through execution. Artist credentials demonstrate artistic track record and capability. What have the artists involved accomplished previously? What recognition have they received? What qualifies them for this work? Artistic credibility matters for assessment. Audience strategy explains how you will reach and engage audiences. Who is the intended audience? How will you attract them? What will enhance their experience or engagement? Arts funders want to know their investment will reach people. Common mistakes in humanities and arts proposals often reflect inappropriate transfer from science contexts. Science-style writing produces prose that reads like a science proposal rather than a humanities or arts proposal. The voice, structure, and emphasis appropriate for NIH or NSF may not suit NEH or NEA. Adapt your writing to the cultural context. Missing context fails to situate work appropriately. Humanities work must engage scholarly conversations. Arts work must position itself within artistic traditions and contemporary practice. Missing context suggests the applicant does not understand their field. Neglecting audiences focuses only on specialist academic or artistic audiences. While specialist impact matters, humanities and arts funders value broader reach. Proposals that ignore public dimensions miss what these agencies prioritize. Jargon overload uses excessive specialized language that obscures meaning. Some specialized terminology is appropriate, but proposals drowning in jargon suggest inability to communicate clearly. Reviewers should understand your proposal without needing a specialized dictionary. Sample size and metrics operate differently in humanities and arts than in quantitative science. Different standards mean humanities does not typically require statistical samples or quantitative metrics in the same way science does. Asking how many texts you will analyze may miss the point of interpretive work. Depth over breadth often characterizes humanities scholarship. Analyzing one archive deeply may be more valuable than superficially surveying many. Intensive engagement with sources can yield more insight than extensive coverage. Do not assume bigger is better. Qualitative evidence, including close reading of texts, archival research in historical documents, and ethnographic engagement with communities, represents rigorous humanities methodology. This evidence differs from but is not inferior to quantitative data. Appropriate metrics use measures that make sense for humanities and arts work. Number of audience members reached, publications produced, communities engaged, or materials preserved may be more appropriate than statistical measures. Match metrics to what the work actually produces. Building competitiveness for humanities and arts funding requires targeted preparation. Read funded examples by studying successful NEH and NEA applications. Both agencies make some funded proposal abstracts available. Reading successful applications reveals what reviewers found compelling. Model your approach on what has worked. Understand reviewers by knowing who evaluates humanities and arts proposals and what they value. Peer reviewers include scholars and artists who bring disciplinary expertise. Panel members may include both specialists and generalists. Understanding your audience helps you write for them. Program match requires selecting programs that fit your work specifically. NEH and NEA each have multiple programs with different emphases. A research fellowship differs from a public programming grant. Find the program whose goals align with what you propose. Seek feedback from experienced humanities and arts grant writers. Colleagues who have succeeded at NEH or NEA can provide invaluable guidance. Their experience with these specific agencies helps you avoid mistakes and strengthen your approach. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson on agency culture for NEH and arts funders. Humanities and arts funders have distinct cultures and priorities that differ significantly from science funders. NEH emphasizes humanities' significance, scholarly conversation, and public benefit. NEA emphasizes artistic excellence, community impact, and audience reach. Understanding these priorities helps you tailor proposals effectively. Writing matters in humanities and arts contexts because narrative quality itself is evaluated. The quality of your prose reflects your scholarly or artistic capability. Clear, elegant, well-structured writing signals competence. Poor writing undermines credibility, regardless of project merit. Audience focus distinguishes these funders from typical science agencies. Public engagement, accessibility, and community connection are valued highly. Work that reaches only specialists misses much of what humanities and arts funders hope to support. Demonstrating broader reach strengthens proposals. In our final lesson for this week, we will cover A1 for compliance checking. You will learn how artificial intelligence can assist with reviewing proposals against requirements, identifying missing sections, and flagging potential compliance issues. Practice exercise. If you work in humanities or arts, review an NEH or NEA program announcement and identify how evaluation criteria differ from science funders. If you work in sciences, consider how you might reframe an aspect of your work for humanities or public audiences.